Okay, I'd like to call to order the regular council meeting of May 9, 2022. Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Here.
Mr. Sensi. Mr. Council Magno.
Here.
Mr. Espinar.
Mr. Espinar? Okay, move on.
He's on mute.
Sorry, my computer just went to the ground. I will continue on without knowledge. Go around the room. Mr. Janisic?
Here.
Ms. Flynn?
Here.
Mr. O'Brien?
Present.
Mr. Mowry?
Here.
Mr. Oakes?
Here.
Mr. Council Magno?
Double here.
Okay.
Okay, we have 7 pending, 8 members present. At this time, could we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? At this time, I'd like to turn to chair announcements. We have no announcements this evening. I'll turn to the reports of the officials and the library director's report.
Good evening. My name is Christine. I'm the director of Your Public Library, where we provide opportunities to explore, learn, create, and connect. First, I want to thank everybody that came to our Party in the Park fundraiser on Saturday, April 23rd. I'd like to thank all of our sponsors and the volunteers that worked on that beautiful but hot day. We had about 300 people that attended the event, and we raised just over $14,000. Those funds will be split between the Bethel Park Community Foundation, the library, and South Park Theater. And we plan to do that again next year. And now I am starting to look for sponsors and golfers for our 5th annual golf outing, which will be held Monday, September 19th at Nemacolin Country Club. You can find registration forms and sponsorship forms at the foundation's website at bpcf.org. A few interesting events coming up at the library or around the library. We have story time at the stage on Tuesdays in May at 10:30 a.m. This takes place at South Park Theater's outdoor stage. So we ask that you bring a blanket to sit upon. You don't have to register. We can take as many as come. If the weather is iffy, give us a call or check our social media to see if the event has been canceled. And then we have Wise Walk starting up. Wise Walk is a 10-week walking program geared to those 50 and older. We meet on Thursdays beginning May 12th at 9:30 in the morning, and we meet at the parking lot near the gazebo and pond in the South Park. The library is rejuvenating the Friends of the Bethel Park Library group, so you can watch for information in our e-newsletter and on our website. We are planning a meet and greet for interested residents in June. I'll have more information to follow. You can check our website. If you are interested in advocating and fundraising for the library, this is the group for you. And just one announcement, the library will be closed on Sunday, May 29th and Monday, May 30th in celebration of the Memorial Day holiday. And then the library will be closed on Sundays throughout the summer. So we're closed Sunday, Memorial Day weekend through Sunday, Labor Day weekend. But we're there the rest of the week. So that is all I have.
Any questions? Thank you very much. Can we turn to the police chief's report? And Chief O'Connor.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, Mr. Vice President. Always has the nicest ties.
I keep saying, who are you talking to? It just hasn't sunk in yet.
Well deserved. Long time coming, well deserved. All right. On the 15th of May, we will have Police Memorial Day. Bethel Park celebrated it last week because we had the honor roll riders. We were privileged to have them come through. They ride the retired officers and agents, and they were passing through, and we were one of their stops on their way to D.C. So also would like to remember on that day Officer Shemalinsky and Detective Sutter from BPPD who lost their lives in the line of duty. And also remember the other officers that have fallen around the country. Last year was particularly bad. This year's off to a bad start. There's already been 20 killed by firearms and 50 have died from COVID. And the mayor's going to have more on this in a little bit. We will not have a crime watch in June on Monday the 6th. However, we will have an open house. If our offices, our department offices at BPPD at 7 p.m. on that Monday. So you're all invited to come and you can see me. It's reason enough, right? And last of all, go Pens. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Chief
Excellent.
O'Connor.
Excellent.
At this time, we turn to the fire chief's report. I just note for the record, I think Mr. O'Brien's car has a boot on it now in the parking lot.
I know how to get them off.
Good evening. My name is Rob Usselman. I'm Assistant Chief with the Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company. I'm going to run down the incidents for April of 2022. In April, we had 3 structure fires, 1 elevator rescue, 1 gas leak, 3 CO alarms/incidents, 1 power line down, 1 vehicle accident, 1 water break, 1 animal rescue, 1 assist police, 8 good intent calls, 1 smoke investigation, and 14 fire alarms for a total of 36 incidents. So a rather busy month for us. Just to bring everybody up to speed on where we are, January through April of this year, we've had 184 incidents. Now, just to put that in perspective, in 2019, for that same time frame, we ran 197 incidents, and then during the pandemic in 2020 and 2021, we ran about 140 incidents during that same time frame. So our calls are up. We just ask people to please be careful when doing cooking or anything, driving. You know, Chief O'Connor probably sees a lot of this. Please be careful out there. We like to keep our numbers low. Yeah, firemen, we like to go on calls, but we do like to keep it low so the community's safe. Now, it is one of our favorite times of year. We sent out our first fundraising letter, and why is this important? The costs of everything, if you haven't noticed, are going up. We just recently purchased self-contained breathing apparatus, so those are the air tanks that we put on our backs to help keep us safe when we go into fires and stuff. We bought 50 packs. Those cost $400,000 for 50 air packs and face pieces. Now, they're brand new in the last 15 years, so we'll definitely get our money's worth out of them, but the costs of everything are going up. So we really need donations. So when you see that fundraising letter come in the mail, please don't throw it away. Take a look at it, read why we need it, and one of the big reasons we need it is we are getting ready to replace one of our 25-year-old fire engines. In early 2023, we're going to be ordering that, and the cost of those is roughly around $750,000. It's a big expenditure, but the community's worth it, and we want the best equipment to provide for you, but we need your help through donations, and we appreciate everything that you give for us. So that is all I have.
Any questions from council? Hearing none, thank you very much. Can we turn to the municipal manager's report and Mr. Christian?
President Mowry, Vice President O'Brien, Mayor Allen, members of council, thank you so much. Wanted to give a quick update on a couple of events and a couple of programs that we're seeing, starting with our Park and Play events. Our Park and Play program was officially announced last week on social media. Starting now through the summer, you can expect to see free community events at one of our many beautiful parks or areas each month. To kick off on May 21st, 10 a.m. to noon, come on out to Park Avenue, and we will be hosting yoga and exercise in the park. Guests will be able to participate in a variety of activities, ranging from Zumba Gold, I'm going to try and pronounce this one, Qigong, Tai Chi, and many more type sessions. Sessions will run in 30-minute increments for people to try these activities. So while we say goodbye to No Cook Tuesdays, we say hello to Farmers Market with a lot of the same vendors. Last week was a little bit wet, but we had a good start. We got a couple hours in. So you can find every Tuesday through September at the South Park Ice Skating Rink parking lot along Corrigan Drive from 3 to 7. Over 30 vendors will be on site each week, so there'll be something for everyone. Be sure to stop by and visit our friendly community of vendors and shoppers. Just want to give an update. One of our many projects this year is Pine Tree Park is currently underway, the planning cycle. We look forward to updates, including a new playground, updated sidewalk, and stormwater upgrades as we move forward with this project. Moving forward in the fall will be our Live Well speaker series, and to that end, we just completed the survey that went out on social media that concluded on April 29th. We will use the results from this survey to determine what residents would like to see in the next round of that speaker series. We look forward for some exciting opportunities for this presents. That's all I have. Thank you
Any
very much.
questions? Thank you, Mr. Christian. Can we now turn to the mayor's report and Mayor Allen?
I only had to cross one thing off of my list that our manager said, so that's not bad. Okay, I have actually 3 proclamations to give tonight. The chief alluded to the first one, so Chief, if you can come up, please. Now, just so you know, the print on a proclamation is very small, so I have a bigger version. And I will hand you the proclamation, Chief. Okay, I designate the week of May 15th to the 21st, 2022 as Bethel Park National Police Memorial Week. Whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed a proclamation which is designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which it falls becomes National Police Memorial Week. Whereas our law enforcement officers are the guardians of life and property, defenders of the individual right to be free, warriors in the battle against crime, and dedicated in the preservation of life and property. And whereas the municipality of Bethel Park honors the valor, service, and dedication of all police officers, and publicly salutes the service of each and every one of our own Bethel Park police officers. Whereas in appreciation of the outstanding efforts of our Bethel Park law enforcement, it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of the Bethel Park Police Department by designating National Police Memorial Week. Now therefore, I, Mayor Jack Allen, do hereby proclaim the week of May 15th to the 21st as National Police Memorial Week. Be it further acknowledged that we invite all citizens to reflect and remember the Bethel Park police officers, Lynn Sawyer and Joseph Chemalinsky, and those men will be forever remembered for their ultimate sacrifice. So I encourage the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. So thank you, Chief, for all you do. Okay, next we also have the 2022 Emergency Management Services Week. So if you can come up from EMS, please. The 2022 Emergency Management Service Week to designate the week of May 15th to the 21st, 2022 as Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas emergency medical service is a vital public service and the members are ready to provide compassionate, life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of the emergency medical service team, both career and volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. Now therefore, I, Mayor Jack Allen, as Mayor of the Municipality of Bethel Park, do hereby proclaim the week of May 12th to the 21st as Emergency Medical Services Week with the theme, EMS Strong, Beyond the Call. The community is encouraged to recognize the value and accomplishments of all those involved in Emergency Medical Service Week as a vital public service, and that the Council of the Municipality of Bethel Park wishes to specifically recognize Tri-Community South EMS for its superior service to Bethel Park and the entire South Hills. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. It's also 2022 National Public Works Week. So if we can have our supervisor and assistant supervisor please come up.
Director.
Okay, whereas public work professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital importance to sustainable resident communities and to public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the municipality of Bethel Park. And whereas in that public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Bethel Park to gain knowledge of all and to maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of the Public Works and Public Works program. So therefore, I, Mayor Jack Allen, Mayor of the Municipality of Bethel Park, to hereby designate the week of May 15th to the 21st as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with National Public Works Week and represent the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designated to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions that they make in protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. But I also want to thank you for the super job you guys did this winter, as you do every winter, so people will appreciate you for that. So thank you. Okay, we have one special guest, Melissa Ibella, if you can come up, please. Melissa Ibella, she's a board member of the Still Remember Project. About 2 or 3 months ago, a couple of the people that run that organization came to me to see if they could tell the municipality a little bit about what they do. So I wanted you to bring up to part of your organization, which is also based in Bethel Park.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. So as he mentioned, my name is Melissa Ibella. I am a founding board member of the Still Remembered Project. So our nonprofit is located in Bethel Park. We're actually located off of Stoltz Road. We serve women and families that have experienced pregnancy and infant loss. So I myself, my first child passed away. He was a stillborn 11 years ago. And a group of women and gentlemen, we met years ago, 11, years ago together at different hospital support groups, and we founded this nonprofit. So 6 years ago, we've been friends for a long time, and 6 years ago we decided to form our own nonprofit. And what we do is we actually provide memorial keepsakes to all of the local Pittsburgh hospitals. And it's really intended to help moms and the families have something to remember their child when their child passes away. Since the 6 years ago that we've started, we're actually now in 4 different states. So we're obviously located in Pennsylvania. We do all of the Pittsburgh hospitals. Our reach goes all the way up to Erie. We also serve hospitals in West Virginia, going down to Weirton and Wheeling. We also serve Ohio, so the Steubenville community, and we recently added Cumberland, Maryland. So we have a relationship with UPMC, and we added a hospital in Maryland. This past Mother's Day, so the Sunday before Mother's Day is always International Bereaved Mother's Day. And we did a campaign where we mailed out Mother's Day cards to all of these women, and I'm proud to say that we reached 48 out of the 50 states. So it's just tremendous how much we've grown in the past several years. We have a few different programs. We have a monthly support group in our office here in Bethel Park. We meet on the second Thursday of every month. We serve the moms dinner. They do a craft. It's a peer-based support group. They also do some special events during Mother's Day, the holidays, etc. We also have something called Stitch with Love, and this is, to me, is very touching because we have blankets, booties, hats that women and gentlemen all across America literally sends us continually. We probably receive about 1,000 blankets per year, and it's very touching because they often come accompanied with a handwritten note in memory of someone, maybe their grandchild or someone that they knew. We have something that I lead, which is called Still Family. So I have been blessed with 2 healthy daughters since my son passed away. And so I lead Still Family. So I get to do a lot of the fun events. So I host different activities for the living children. I've done painting parties, pool parties. We also put together a sibling bag to the hospitals. So that way the living child has something to take home to remember their sibling. We also have an organization called Still Miss, and that is a miscarriage care package. So we actually put these in doctor's offices, ERs. If a woman has a loss at home, she can contact us and we will mail her one. We have a program called Memory Boxes, and that is where anyone that is up in the labor and delivery suite would actually receive one of these. And they're very special because the nurse presents it to the mom, and there's a lot of items in there that the mom can use while she's in the hospital. And so it's really important because it encourages the mom to take pictures, cut hair, do things that you would normally do, obviously in a different environment. But that's why our relationship with all of the nurses is so important, because they're the one that presents that. So we actually are excited because we have recently been told that we are going to have a trolley box garden here in Bethel Park. And so on May 1st, which was International Bereaved Mother's Day, we hosted a luncheon. We had 60 moms present at the luncheon, and we announced to them that we would have this trolley box. So they were all just very touched and really excited. So May 21st is going to be our first day. We're actually going to clean up the trolley box, kind of get things organized, see what we need, and then we're going to have another day where we're actually going to plant flowers. So our intention is to have that be a space that moms can visit. Some women just don't have a place to visit, so they're really excited because this is something for them to help maintain and help actually see. So we do appreciate that very much. Yeah, so thank you very much for having us.
Thank you very much. Next, we have a program, or there is a program called Stamp Out Hunger Food Drive. And I just happened to get a postcard in the mail today about this, so I don't know if anyone else did or not. It's sponsored by the Berean Church in Scott Township. It's May 14th, so it's this Saturday. And what they're encouraging people to do, they're working with the post office. And if you can drop off food at the post office on Saturday, then they will collect that. They haven't done anything in the last 2 years, so they explained to me, like, the cupboards are a little bare. So, like I said, I did get a postcard. I don't know if anybody else got one today, But if you can, drop off some food at the post office this Saturday, the 14th. Okay, I also wanted to mention Veterans Day is coming up in a couple weeks. Our Veterans Day Memorial Program is out on the plaza here at 8:50 or 9 o'clock?
7:50.
7:50.
8 o'clock it starts.
Oh.
7:50. The parade starts at 9.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you told me that. I probably would have slept in. Okay, the parade starts at 9, and then right after the parade, there's a ceremony down at the Bethel Cemetery. We will be honoring a person every year. We're doing a little bit different this year, so if you can, please come, and the Bethel Park Band will be there. It's a nice event. And finally, I just want to talk about a program. Lawrence talked a little bit about it, but I also want to update you on our Bethel Park Kindness Project. So rather than a short window of time like we've done, we'll now be accepting kindness recognitions ongoing between Wednesday through February 10th. We'll announce those being recognized at Random Acts of Kindness on Friday, February 17th. We felt this would offer a longer time period to recognize individuals, groups, businesses, and yourself for acts of kindness in the community. Submissions can be made on our website, and we'll also share this information on our Facebook page. The website is www.bethelpark.net/kindness. And we'll still be holding the Kindness Sidewalk Chalk competition this year. That'll be held in August, and I'll give you more details as we get closer to that. So we're starting a little bit earlier this year, trying to get a lot more people involved in it. We do record the winners. We put them on one of Dave Cable's shows. And it's just a nice thing we've been doing in the neighborhood. I think this is our 3rd year, so. And that's all I have.
Any questions from council? Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Mayor. Okay, at this time, can we turn to the approval of the minutes? And Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Approval of the minutes, April 11th, 2022, regular council meeting minutes. I move that we approve the minutes from the April 11th meeting.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. O'Brien and second by Dr. Campbell that we approve the minutes from the April 11th meeting. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
Mr. Espinar.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janisic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. At this time, can we turn to the approval of the bills in payrolls? And Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Bill list 050922. I move that we approve bill list 050922 in the amount of $1,342,424.81.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. O'Brien and second by Dr. Campbell that we approve the bill list number 050922 in the amount of $1,342,424.81. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Sorry. Can you hear me? Mr. Espinar.
Yes.
My computer just died, so I'm gonna have to go off of, just go down the line. Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janisic.
Yes.
Mr. Council
Mo-
Magno.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
My apologies.
Okay, I think that passes 8-0. Okay, can we turn to the resident comments section for non-agenda items? If you'd like to come to the microphone and speak. Hearing none, if we can turn to general policy and finance and Dr. Campbell.
President Mowry, I have just 3 items under general policy and finance this evening. Item number 1 is an appointment of an alternate member of the Shade Tree Commission. I move that we appoint Nancy Jean Morrison as an alternate member of the Shade Tree Commission with a term to expire on December 31st, 2024.
Second.
There's a motion by Dr. Campbell, second by Mr. O'Brien, that we appoint Nancy Jean Morrison as an alternate member of the Shade Tree Commission with the term to expire December 31st, 2024. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll? That's why I use paper.
Yeah, good old-fashioned paper.
If everybody's late for the Penguin game, we can bay Mr. Christian, just so you know, for the record.
It's not like putting pressure on him or nothing. It's pretty rough.
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Councilman Magno.
Yes.
Mr. Espinaro.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janicic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Dr. Campbell.
My second item, Mr. President, is a 2022 capital computer workstation and peripheral equipment replacement. I move that we approve the purchase of computer equipment from Dell EMC in the amount of $24,568.34 per the IT Administrator's Memorandum dated March 21st, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion by Dr. Campbell, second by Mr. O'Brien, that we approve the purchase of a computer equipment from Dell EMC in the amount of $24,568.34 per the IT Administrator's Memorandum dated March 21st, 2022. Any discussion of this item?
Mr. President,
Dr. Campbell.
many of our computers are quite antiquated, greater than 5 years of age, and a lot of them are no longer under warranty. They lack a lot of the processing speed, the capabilities, the memory to handle some of the newer software that we're using in the municipality. So our goal is to replace a lot of our computers and put them on like a regular refresh schedule. Just take a good look at them and review their functionality. So this is to replace some of the aging computers that we have.
Will it be replacing our managers?
That's an operator problem. Yeah. That's just known as a
just
picnic.
a question.
Mr. Councilman Magno, that's known as a picnic. Problem in chair, not in computer.
Okay, any more comments? I can't follow it. Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Councilman Magno.
Absolutely, yes.
Mr. Espinaro.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janicic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes. Motion passes 8-0. Dr. Campbell.
My third item, Mr. President, is a 2022 dispatch desktop computer replacements. I move that we approve the purchase of 2 computer replacements for the Police Dispatch Center from Dell EMC to the amount of $2,670.08 per the IT Administrator's Memorandum dated March 21st, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion by Dr. Campbell, second by, I think it was a tie of Mr. O'Brien and Mr. Oakes, that we approve the purchase of 2 computer replacements for the Police Dispatch Center from Dell EMC in the amount of $2,670.08 per the IT Administrator's Memorandum dated March 21st, 2022. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Councilman Magno.
Yes.
Mr. Espinaro.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janicic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Dr. Campbell.
I have no other items, Mr. President.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes said yes.
And I still have no other items.
Okay. Are there any additional items? The city news paid attention. Okay, can we turn to health, safety, and welfare, and Mr. O'Brien?
Thank you, Mr. Mowry. There's one item tonight on health, safety, and welfare. It's a disposition of records. I move that we approve resolution number R5922A for the Chief of Police Memorandum dated April 19th, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. O'Brien and second by Mr. Oakes that we approve resolution number R5-9-22A per the police chief's memorandum dated April 19, 2022. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
Mr. Espinard.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janicic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. O'Brien.
Mr. Chairman, there are no other items under health, safety, and welfare, although I have one.
Mr. O'Brien.
It's a brief note. This last month, Bethel Park lost a man who just loved our town. He served as a school director, and that's Dr. Gus Oakley. If you had the opportunity to spend some time, his passion for our town, his passion for our children was beyond imagination. Although he had a very strong opinion and he would debate just about anything or everything, but one thing about Gus is that after it was all over and you disagreed, he was okay with it. The next time he saw you, he started right again on something new. I really enjoyed this man. I'd like to just reach out and say thank you to his family, and my hearts and my prayers are with them in their time of loss. Thank you, Timothy.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Are there any additional items? Hearing none, can we turn to planning and zoning and Mr. Janison?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few items today. Hopefully we'll be in the fast lane. Number A, or letter A, this is the application 2022-0171, the First National Bank Parkside Center Major Land Development. I move that we approve the First National Bank Parkside Center Major Land Development Application number 2022-0171 per the Municipal Planner's Memorandum dated April 20th, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Janusik, second by Ms. Flynn, that we approve the First National Bank Parkside Center Major Land Development Application number 2022-0171 per the Municipal Planner's Memorandum dated April 20th, 2022. Any discussion of this item?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Janusik.
This is the patch of land right behind the Papa John's between Route 88 and South Park Road. There's a new building in there that they're going to start occupying. This is the second building. First National Bank stepped up. They're going to be a tenant there and put this building in, and I think it's a great development. Nice to see movement there.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Janusik. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
Mr. Espinard.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janusik.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Janusik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item B, application 2019-0348, Cool Springs American Natural Major Land Development Performance Bond Release. I move that we approve this performance bond release in the amount of $1,977,921 per the Municipal Planner's Memorandum dated April 18th, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Janusik, second by Ms. Flynn, that we approve the performance bond release in the amount of $1,977,921 per the Municipal Planner's Memorandum dated April 18, 2022. Any discussion of this item?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Janusik.
Real quick, this is the end of the gas station that was going to go in over by Cool Springs, so I know some of the residents over there will be happy. That's all I had.
Thank you, Mr. Janusik. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
Mr. Espinard.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janusik.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Janusik.
Item C, the splash pad planning module resolution. I move that we approve resolution number R5-9-22B for the Bethel splash pad planning module per the Municipal Planner's Memorandum dated May 4th, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Janusik, second by Ms. Flynn, that we approve resolution number R5-9-22B or for the Bethel Park Splash pad planning module per the municipal planner's memorandum dated May 4th, 2022. Any discussion of this item? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno,
Yes.
Mr. Espinard,
Yes.
Ms. Flynn,
Yes.
Mr. Janasek,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. Oakes,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Janasek.
Item D, the Library Road Major Land Development Application Number 2021-1071, Planning Module Resolution. I move that we approve Resolution Number R5-9-22C for the Planning Module for the Library Road Major Land Development Application Number 2021-1071 per the Municipal Planner's Memorandum dated May 4th, 2022.
Second.
There's been a motion by Mr. Janasek, second by Ms. Flynn, that we approve resolution number R5-9-22C for a planning module for the Library Road Major Land Development Application Number 2021-1071 per the Municipal Planner's Memorandum dated May 4th, 2022. Any discussion of this item?
Mr. Chairman, real quick, this is the land at the corner of 88 and Broughton there, and Mr. Yoka has worked very hard to try to get that developed, and glad that this can start proceeding now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Janasek. Anything else? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno,
Yes.
Mr. Espinard,
Yes.
Ms. Flynn,
Yes.
Mr. Janasek,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. Oakes,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Janasek.
Item E, last but not least, application number 2021-1070, McMurray Road rezoning ordinance. I move that we approve ordinance number R5-9-22. Should that be a D or an E?
No, it would just be.
Just be 22?
Yeah.
Okay. Ordinance number R5-9-22 to rezone parcels 414, 422, and 442 to 444 McMurray Road from zoning classification C1, RT, and OS to C2, General Commercial District.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Janasek, second by Ms. Flynn, that we approve ordinance number R5-9-22 to rezone parcels 414, 422, and 442 through 444 McMurray Road from a zoning classification C1, RTOS to C2 General Commercial District. We did receive an updated zoning map today that corresponds with this rezoning, so at this time I would ask, just from a formality standpoint, if we could ask Mr. Janasek to amend the motion on the floor to include the new map.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Amending motion to replace the zoning map that was submitted with the zoning application with the rezoning application with zoning map submitted by applicant on May 9th, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to amend the motion on the floor to replace the zoning map submitted with the rezoning application with the zoning map submitted by the applicant on May 9th, 2022. This is just a formality, just to update the zoning map to make sure it's consistent with what we're voting on. Any discussion of that item? Okay, we will be voting on the amending motion first. Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno,
Yes.
Mr. Espinard,
Yes.
Ms. Flynn,
Yes.
Mr. Janasek,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. Oakes,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
The amendment to the motion that is on the floor has passed 8-0. So we'll go back to the original motion, which is the approval of ordinance R5-9-22 to rezone parcels 414, 422, and 442 through 444 McMurray Road from zoning classification C1, RT, OS, C2 General Commercial with the newly submitted map of the zoning area. Any discussion of this item?
Mr. President?
Mr. Oakes.
So I wanted to let everyone know, this is one of the last major developments, vacant land opportunities in Bethel Park, and I'm going to keep a close eye on everything that's done from the site planning to the traffic control. I had a few residents contact me, and they had concerns. They wanted to move forward with a lot of things. It was a general consensus. But we want to keep a close eye on it to make sure it's done respectfully, and we will keep the residents apprised once we get to the site planning and that stage of what we're doing with the property. We'll let everyone know how we're moving forward. But I just wanted to say that in addition to my vote, that's what's going to be, those are my thoughts on it as we're moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Oaks. Is there any other
Mr.
discussion?
Chairman.
Mr. O'Brien.
First of all, this, at the public hearing, there was a lot of discussion about this. First of all, I'd like to thank our staff, the manager, Mr. McTiernan, and John and Tim Myring. This is a difficult piece. I don't know how many times that it's been in front of me to rezone, and I'm a little nervous about it. However, something has to go there finally. And the thing that frightens me the most is the traffic situation on McMurray Road, that whole cluster there. The last thing that I wish to do is to make it worse than it is now, because it'll end up like, maybe like Irish Town and Logan. And that's not what our intentions are. Our intentions are to make it better, to put something that serves the people, and to make a nice flow between the neighborhoods. So I agree with John that we're gonna have to watch this very carefully. We have no clue what's gonna go in there, what their intentions are, not even a whisper on the streets. So I am gonna pay very close attention along with staff, and we'll see how it goes. Thank you, Mr. Murray.
No, just to follow up on both comments, you know, this is the first step in any development process, getting the zoning right. The second step is once this is approved, they will be submitting some type of a land development application. So that'll be coming down the road if this is approved tonight. And just for the record, this was unanimously approved by, or recommended by the Planning Commission to come to council. So they, you know, had public hearing, they had meetings, a lot of the neighbors, to Mr. Oak's point, that it's really traffic. So we have one chance to get this right, and we're gonna make sure that when the application comes in that we're gonna do it the right. And I think the applicant or the new property owner has showed a strong interest in doing the right thing. So more details to come. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Kimball.
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno.
Yes.
Mr. Espinard.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janisic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oaks.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Janusik.
Nothing else?
Thank you. You had only a few items, but you had a couple complicated ones there.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay, if this time we can turn to Public Works and Maintenance and Mr. Consolmagno.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Since it's Public Works Week, I have 9 items under Public Works. The first one is Millennium Park Concession Stand Refrigeration Equipment. I move that we approve the purchase of the refrigerator equipment in the amount of $7,950 from Fountain Products per the Recreation Director's Memorandum dated May 9th, 2022.
Second.
There is a motion by Mr. Consolmagno and second by Mr. Oaks that we approve the purchase of a refrigerator equipment, excuse me, in the amount of $7,950 from Fountain Products per the Recreation Director's Memorandum dated May 9th, 2022. Any discussion of this item?
Mr. Murray?
Mr. Consolmagno.
This money will be coming from the Field Banner Fund, so it won't be coming out of any general fund. And also Fountain Products is a local vendor, which we're going to be using. They're housed in the industrial park.
Thank you, Mr. Consolmagno. Any additional comments? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Kimball.
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno.
Yes.
Mr. Espinard.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janisic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oaks.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Consolmagno.
Second item, 2022 Pine Tree Park upgrades. I move that we accept the low bid of $60,784.50 from CH&D Enterprises Incorporated per the Director of Engineering's memorandum dated April 20th, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Consolmagno and second by Mr. Oaks that we accept the low bid of $784 from CH&D Enterprises, Inc. per the Director of Engineering's memorandum dated April 20th, 2022. Any discussion of this item? This is Mr. Christian mentioned earlier, Pine Tree Park is the park that we're going to be doing renovations this year. Just like every neighborhood park, the first step in the process is to evaluate if we can do any stormwater management. The second step is identify, equipment. We have a neighborhood meeting set up, I think, in 2 weeks or next week. We have a couple different options that were proposed, and we're letting, as we have in the past 3 or 4 parks, letting the neighborhood vote on it. This pavement is kind of a perky pave, which will be a permeable surface, and will be coming from the street up through the park. So this will also act as a stormwater conduit. We're going to be doing some ponds and some things throughout the development, but this is the first step, and hopefully this time next month, we'll be awarding a contract for newly acquired playground equipment. Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno.
Yes.
Mr. Espinard.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janasek.
Yes.
Mr. Mallory.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Consolmagno.
Mr. Mayor, the next 7 items are grant dollars, which our staff is applying for. Drake Trail Project Grant, Trail Development Fund via RAAC resolution and certification. I move that we approve resolution number R5-9-22D to apply for our RAAC grant, and that we sign the application certification per the grant writer's memorandum dated May 5th, 2022.
Second.
There's been a motion by Mr. Consolmagno and second by Mr. Oakes that we approve resolution number R5-9-22D to apply for a RAAC grant, and that we sign the applicant certification per the grant writer's memorandum dated May 5th, 2022. I'll briefly talk about this for those of you. This is a project that we've been working on for probably 3+ years. It started out, Mr. McLean and I, because it's the old Drake, like we call it, us old timers, now I consider myself one of them. But it's the abandoned Drake Trail that runs from the old Dorchester all the way down to Upper St. Clair. We've had multiple meetings. We have preliminary approval from Port Authority that we're going to turn that into a walking trail. We're working jointly, not only the Bethel Park section, but working with Upper St. Clair. This is really early in the process. We don't have a formal agreement. We have a letter stating that they want to move forward with the process. So this is probably a year or 2 down the road. There's a lot of hurdles we got to overcome, but this is a project we've been working on for the last couple of years, and this enables us to apply for some grant money to get the design work done. Any other discussions? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno.
Yes.
Mr. Espinard.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janasek.
Yes.
Mr. Mallory.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Consolmagno.
Splash Pad Playground Project in Ward 1, GTRP Grant Funding Resolution. I move that we approve resolution number R5-9-22E to apply for funding through DCED per the grant writer's memorandum dated April 21st, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Consolmagno and second by Mr. O'Brien that we approve resolution number R5-9-22E to apply for funding through the DCED per the grant writer's memorandum dated April 21st, 2022. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the...
Mr. Murray.
Mr. O'Brien.
Aldi's. As we all know, our representative at one time was John Marr, and what a man he was. He knew how to go through Harrisburg, how to look for money, how to make grants happen, and we all got very comfortable because he just did it seamlessly, endlessly, And after he retired, we never really thought that anyone could match what John did. Well, I was wrong. Representative Natalie Mihalik learned a lot from Mr. Marr. And in Harrisburg, she knows how to work the magic. And you have to understand, it's not easy. It's difficult. The processes that she has to go through. Our grant writers and our staff can do everything here. But when it gets there, it takes that type of attention to push it through, to know where the money is, to know how it applies to each grant, to look through that endless line of line item accounting in the budget to find money to bring back home. And that is a rare thing when you have a representative. It does that, and we've had two. And I'm very, very pleased with the work she does. And also, too, the intersections of King School and 88, that was a project from the state. Logan and South Park, some liked it, some didn't, but still, that was a project coming from the state. 88 being paved, that's another state project. The bridges have been replaced on 88 in the last few years. This is all work that comes through the state, and it takes a representative to work hard to make sure these things happen. So I just wanted to lay it out there and give her a well done. And we do appreciate it as Bethel Park. Thank you, Mr. Murray.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. And I'll briefly jump in. I concur with Mr. O'Brien. We do a great job of filing applications. But to Mark's point, you need somebody in Harrisburg that's going to be there to support you, to be there to walk you through the process. We've been very successful at getting grants. It's been a real team effort, and State Representative Mihalik has done a phenomenal job working with our state senator, Devlin Robinson, not only on municipal projects, but projects within the town. They were able to get some grant money for SHIM. They were able to get some additional grant money for the Historical Society, just things that are very valuable to us. And it's important to have people down in Harrisburg that can guide us through the process. And even as Mark said with PennDOT, it's sometimes an uphill battle, but she was able to bring PennDOT in and did a tour of Bethel Park. Natalie Mihalik did a few weeks ago and really talked about the key intersections in planning, not just for today, but 3 to 5 years down the road. Some projects we really want to see done. So it's important to have continuity and a good representative, and I just want to thank Natalie Mihalik also for the work she's done.
Mr. Murray?
Mr. O'Brien.
Just to let you know, Natalie got the pothole fixed on South Park Road, okay? That thing was driving everybody nuts. A simple thing like that, sometimes it takes that type of effort. So thank you.
Mr. Murray, Mr. O'Brien, I couldn't agree more that those comments you made concerning our representative, Natalie Mihalik. She's been there every step of the way whenever we need grant funding and does her homework. And you know, our staff does their homework too, because she's commented to me in the past that, you know, they do their homework to get the thing done, and then she can push it through as fast as she can. So thank you, Natalie.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno.
Yes.
Mr. Espinard.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janisic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Consolmagno.
The next item is Park Utilization Project Resolution, Elm Tree and Molly Hill Greenways, Trails, and Recreation Program Grant. I move that we approve resolution number R5-9-22F per the grant writer's memorandum dated April 21st, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Consolmagno and a second by Mr. Oakes that we approve resolution number R5-9-22F per the grant writer's memorandum dated April 21st, 2022. Any discussion on this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno.
Yes.
Mr. Espinard.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janisic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oakes.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Consolmagno.
Next item, Rolling Green Project, MTF Grant Resolution. I move that we approve resolution number R5-9-22G per the grant writer's memorandum dated April 21st, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Consimino, second by Mr. Oaks, that we approve resolution number R5-9-22G per the grant writers memorandum dated April 21st, 2022. Any discussion on this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno.
Yes.
Mr. Espenar.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janisic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oaks.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Consimino.
Next item, Irish Town Road and Patterson Road Improvements, MTF grant via DCED resolution. I move that we sign resolution number R5-9-22H to submit this grant application per the grant writers memorandum dated May 5th, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Consimino, second by Mr. Oaks, that we sign resolution R5-9-22H to submit this grant application per the grant writers memorandum dated May 5th, 2022. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno.
Yes.
Mr. Espenar.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janisic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oaks.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Consimagno.
Next item, Hamilton Road and Baptist Road Improvements, MTF grant via DCE resolution. I move that we approve resolution number R5-9-21I to apply for this grant per the grant writers memorandum dated May 5th, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Consimagno and a second by Mr. Oaks that we approve resolution number R5-9-22I to apply for the grant per the grant writers memorandum dated May 5th, 2022. Any discussion of this item? May 5th, 2022. Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno.
Yes.
Mr. Espenar.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janisic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. Oaks.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Consimagno.
My last item per Public Works Week is Washington Junction Streetscape Project Phase 1 Grant Submission DCE Resolution. I move that we approve resolution number R5-9-22J to apply for the DCED grant per the grant writers memorandum dated May 5th, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Consimagno and second by Mr. Oaks that we approve resolution number R5-9-22J to apply for the DCED grant per the grant writers memorandum dated May 5th, 2022. Any discussion of this item? I'll quickly talk about Mr. Janisak's been an advocate for this on the Washington Junction as you enter into Bethel Park. We have hired a consultant to come in and do some conceptual designs to improve the mobility and the appearance to the neighborhood entering Bethel Park. I know there's been a couple neighborhood meetings about putting some sidewalk, improving mobility, potentially doing a little bit of stormwater work over there. So more to come, but this is something that Mr. Janisak has been working on since he came on board, and we all support the beautification of our community. Any additional items? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno.
Yes.
Mr. Despenar.
Yes.
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mr. Janisic.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry. Mr. Oaks.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Consimagno.
Mr. Murray, that's enough.
I'm very happy, Mr. Consimagno, because you have been spending so much money the last few months that we're trying to replenish the coffers.
That's what I try to do.
Okay.
The grant money is very important to us.
And we do appreciate that.
I thank you.
Is there any other comments? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Dr. Campbell, second by Mr. O'Brien. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Everybody, anybody want to stay?
Let's go, Pens.
Meeting adjourned, and good night, everyone.